So, welcome, men over 40. If you're struggling with emotional burnout, I think this video is going to add some value to your life. I want to share with you just kind of this podcast that I'm going to be doing. It's going to be off the cuff. It's going to be me sharing with you my perspective on life as a mindset coach and how between now and whenever the end of your life is. So everybody's got this period of time between now and the end of your life, wherever that may be. The space in between now and then, the quality of your life is going to be completely determined by your attention, what you put your attention on and how you make sense of it inside. So do you ever notice people that can have a lot of stuff going on in their life? Like recently, I've had a lot of things going on that were very, very, very challenging. And I spent a long time going through this particular situation in my life. And a lot of people were thinking, how do you do it? Like, how do you not buckle? How do you not get stressed out? And how do you do it? And I genuinely felt the pressure of this personal kind of stuff that I was going through with a family member. And it wasn't totally their fault. And they were struggling and they had challenges and they were not easy to be around. And I had to step up to the plate and I had to kind of put myself on the front line so that the rest of them didn't have to do it, because I felt I was emotionally stable and I had a good mindset and I had a good way of reframing what was happening in the situation. So I was able to change how I feel despite the circumstances, because I know that there's a period of time for me between now and the end of my life, whenever that may be. I want my quality of life to be good, great if I can make it between now and then, despite the circumstances. So I can do that myself. I know how to do it. I want to share with you, if you're a man and you're over 40 and you got to that stage in your life where you're just thinking, is this it? There has to be something more to it than this. You know, I'm hearing people talking like this all the time. It's like, I'm just fed up. I just feel like there's no point. Every time I get ahead, I'm getting knocked back again. And I'm not minimizing anybody's situation in any way. What I am saying is that it's not what's happening outside that's causing you to feel bad. Yes, the circumstances can be stressful, but it's how you make sense of it inside. So if you think about it, if you're looking at the situation outside and you don't have any language or any words and you don't say anything to yourself, your body can't respond because your body is eavesdropping on your thinking. And that's what keeps people in this negative state. When they're in this negative state, they keep thinking about how they're feeling and they feel about how they're thinking, and then they start to think more about what's happening outside. And you'll notice that there's other people that don't do that. And I am that person that everybody else was able to look up to and say, okay, it's possible that Paul is able to keep it together. And I'm not trying, and it's not like I'm just holding on and I'm just barely on the edge. I genuinely can feel stressed in a stressful situation, which is good, because if you don't feel that, you're going to be in trouble. You know, you're going to make bad decisions, because stress is there to let you know something's wrong or something needs to change or you need to tend to something. So I'm able to feel that stress and tend to it. But after the fact, I'm not ruminating on it. I'm not thinking about it, or I'm not planning something to go wrong, or I'm not thinking, why am I like this? How is this happening to me? So I'm not tormenting myself. I used to, but I didn't know I was doing it because it was just automatic. It was just the way things were done. And most people are feeling that at some level. They got to a stage in their life where they're thinking all of the time and they're overwhelmed with emotion. So there's no structure to this particular podcast video. I'm just going to kind of try and explain as best I can, as simply as I can, of what's possible. I can do this myself. I can help other people to do it. It's quite simple if you just listen to these videos a few times, these podcasts a few times, and just get a sense of that there's a whole different way that you can look at this and approach your life, so that even if the circumstances outside are challenging, how you feel inside about what's happening outside is going to be on you. And if you change how you feel inside about what's happening outside, you have a much better shot at changing it. You know, people that are in a calm state of mind get more stuff done, and they're able to take on challenges, make those phone calls that they're putting off, because a lot of people are putting off stuff because they're just their nerves are shot. And I get it. I've been there. I know exactly what that feels like. So I'm going to share in these videos as best I can what I can do to show you how to do this. And I don't want to do it too quick. I don't want to try and compress it into those short videos. Done all that stuff. They're great sometimes, but you know yourself, when you're doing these videos, when you're watching the short videos on YouTube, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. I'm talking about the fast fix video. So I'll show you some here if I can just get it up here. So here we go. So this is my website. This is these are the videos that I make. Tips: the mindful dad, 5 game changing tips. How to gain an advantage in building relationships. How to support your partner's mental health. 3 powerful tips to strengthen your relationships. These are all great, but I know, because I spent my life looking for solutions, and they're not so easy to find when you're stressed out. And even if you do find them, because your nervous system is stressed, you can't. They don't work. Nothing works. You're like, this shit doesn't work. It worked the other day, but it's not fucking working anymore. And you go looking for more stuff. There's reasons why that happens. I'm going to talk a lot about that. And you're going to pick chunks of information out of this particular podcast. Something that you'll listen to in the background. And you listen to it once, you'll get value out of it. If you listen to it twice, it'll make more sense. If you listen to it 3 times, you're going to get more insight, because you're going to get aha moments. Because it'll make more sense, because you're going to be relating it to what happened to you the other day or yesterday or the day before. You'll be like, yeah, now that makes more sense. And I'm going to show you that it's possible. And maybe down the line, I'll get some people on that need to change how they think and feel. And I'll show you how that I can help them to change how they think and feel, and test it to make sure that when they're feeling the problem, they're going to be able to obviously explain how they're feeling. And then a few moments later, after just doing a few different things, just talking a particular way and reframing a few things, you'll notice that they'll start to feel different about the problem, and it's not the same again. And once you change it like that, it's very hard to get back into that old mindset again, because you've just updated your mind and you've updated how you're thinking and feeling about the problem. And once the feeling changes, the problem changes, and it's not a problem anymore if you don't feel bad. I'm going to try my best to show you stuff like this, and just do these podcasts where I just talk for half an hour, maybe even an hour sometimes, because the short videos, everybody has nearly a short attention span. And I think these videos, for me, when I'm gone back to long form videos, listening to myself, I used to be kind of a scrolling through the videos on TikTok, and now what I'm doing is I'm looking for long form content. It's called like longer videos that I get more value off, and it's kind of building this kind of relationship with the podcaster or the YouTuber who's doing a long video, and he's actually teaching you a whole process instead of just pieces of the process. So that's what this video is going to be about. It's in this episode that I'm doing here. I'm going to call this one "Lose Your Mind and Come to Your Senses." So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be just losing that old frame of mind where you're trying to figure things out, where you're trying to know what to do, or you're trying to put meaning on things. I want to help you to turn that back into a process. Like, that it's not something that you're doing automatic. It's like, you know, that you, after listening to me, you're going to get the sense that if I want to feel bad, I have to do a process in my mind. I have to think about things a particular way to annoy myself, to stir up feelings. And what I say inside about the problems outside is what's going to make me feel bad. That's why I was able to get through the challenge that I got through over the past year and come out the other side not affected by it at all. It was stressful, don't get me wrong. It was stressful, and I got annoyed at certain points, and I got frustrated. But after the fact, I'm fine. Like, in the moment, I can get frustrated. But even 5 minutes after, I'm just back to myself again. And I'm not relating myself to what happened. You know, I want to try and get this across as best I can. If something's happening outside that makes you feel bad, it doesn't mean that you have to keep feeling bad. You can still know that the challenges are happening outside, but you don't have to suffer. Suffering comes from you, not from outside of you. If there's a fire outside, or a fight, or there's a direct threat to your life, then it's essential to suffer, because you don't want to stand in the house that's on fire and go, wonder why this house is on fire. You want to be able to feel the heat and get out, and then evaluate it afterwards, but not think about it all night and stay awake and then plan the house being burnt down next week, you know, and the week after, whatever happens again. This is determined. So in these podcasts, I'm going to try and stick by some sort of bullet points and give you some sort of value at the end so you can actually think about it. And then you'll notice that when you listen to this stuff, even if you're having a bad day, I'm gonna create some possibility, and the mind works off plausibility and possibility. If something seems possible, your mind's gonna process it. And I'm genuinely coming from experience. I've spent a lot of years working one to one with people, doing incredible kind of processes to be able to help people to get rid of fears and change how they feel, and really get rid of the depression and get them back to themselves again, and then show them how to stay there themselves. And if I keep doing these podcasts, it's going to keep people in that place. It's going to help people to be able to stay in that place and to be able to, check back in on it. When I'm having a bad day, I'm going to listen back to this stuff, and I'm going to probably get another bit of insight from it. So again, this video is on just the topic of what we're going to be covering. You can message me and let me know if there's something that you want me to talk about, or if you want to jump on a call with me and go live, and we can talk about this further on, and we can see that if we can help you to change how you feel. Again, I'm going to tell you that when I'm teaching this stuff, I'm going to help you to change how you respond to stress. I'm not going to change your circumstances. I'm not going to qualify your circumstances. I'm not going to talk about your circumstances. I'm not going to rehearse them and talk about them, because the more you talk about the problem, the more you're rehearsing the problem. My job is to get you to be able to go, okay, I've got this shit going on in my life. How do I change how I feel about it so I can take it on and change it? So this is what's going to happen. You're going to respond better to the stressful circumstances in your life. And then that space in between, when there's no genuine threat, that you can actually go for a walk and not think about stuff. You can go to bed and not think. It's possible. The only problem with what's happening out there at the moment is people are talking about their problem and they're understanding their problem more. Just because you understand why you have a problem doesn't make it better. Sometimes, even when you're getting help with your problem and you're getting like aha moments about why the problem is there and what happened and who did it and how it happened, all that happens there is it just gives you more sophisticated ways to talk about your problems. And yes, that's good sometimes for some people, but for me, I don't want to know why I have the problems. Would you rather know why you have the problem, or would you rather feel better? That's where I'm coming from with this. So we're going to be genuinely putting these stories together. I'm going to share some experiences that I've had helping people and give you their stories. You're going to be able to relate to them in most cases. I won't be giving away anybody's information. I'm going to be changing some of the dynamics of the story to protect the people that I'm talking about, so that you'd never relate it to them. But the principles behind their story and how they changed and how the problem came about, they're going to be kept. And that in itself is going to give you classic examples of how it's possible to go from one state to another, one extreme feeling to another. And we're just helping people to change how they think and feel inside about what's happening outside, and just become far more resourceful. So this matters because life is constantly throwing stuff at you. You're going to have stuff coming your way all the time. From my experience, I know that even people that have small problems feel overwhelmed because their problem is big to them. And I'm not minimizing anybody's problem in any way, but when people have these problems, it's not the problem, it's how big they're making it inside of themselves, and the challenges that they have. They're just overthinking them and trying to figure ways around them and how they happened. And that's happening inside. The real key to feeling better is changing your internal reactions. So a classic example of this, I remember Anthony Robbins, he done a simple test with people where he got them to walk across a plank of wood on the ground. So he put a plank of wood on the ground. It was laying flat. No problem, right? People walked across it. Now, when they raised the plank up, the same plank, like they lifted it up about 4 or 5 feet into the air, suddenly their nervous system became unsteady and they started wobbling. Even though the plank itself hadn't changed, it's how they're making sense of what's actually happening outside made them wobbly. And this can be done even if you imagine you're walking on a plank and it's on the ground. You'll kind of walk normal. And then if you get someone to imagine that it's like 40 feet up, you'll see them wobbling because it's not the plank. The plank doesn't change whether it's on the ground or it's in the air. The only thing that changes is how they're making sense of what's happening inside. This is what's happening in people's lives. They're making sense of what's happening inside, and it's tormenting their nervous system. But what if I told you it was possible to be quiet inside and evaluate what's happening outside without overwhelm and without, well, I like to keep stress, because stress is there to let you know things need to change. But instead of being anxious, just being stressed enough to know that you need to change something. And then when you change that thing, the situation starts to change, and show you how to keep doing this. Okay. So if you think about this for a moment, just think about what I've said as best you can. And think about how you talk to yourself. Think about the pictures that you make inside your mind when you're lying in bed and you're thinking about all of the court cases that are coming up, whatever's going on in your life, whether it's money owed to the bank, whether it's your job is looking uncertain. Just think about what you're saying to yourself and those pictures that you're making in your mind, and ask yourself, is that helping me feel better? Or is it causing me to feel stress? Is it adding value to my life or not? And what would happen if you went to bed and the problems were still outside, but you were quiet inside? The problems still don't change. Now, if you show up and you only deal with what's in front of you and you're able to stay calm, you're going to make better decisions and clearer decisions. The goal is to get yourself to be calm inside, to be able to reframe things, change what they mean inside, and turn a bad situation into a good situation. You can watch all the videos you want on techniques. They'll work every now and again. But if you're in a bad mood, it's very difficult to get out of that bad mood. I'll show you how to not get into the bad mood in the first place, to directly shape how you feel inside and stay there. And the average emotion, this is interesting, the average emotion has been measured that it's actually less than this. It's been measured that any feeling that you have, any emotion, lasts an average of 90 seconds. That's how long it lasts. And I know there's people out there going, Paul, I've had this anxiety for 30 years or 20 years or 10 years. And yeah, I get it. But the only reason it lasts longer than 90 seconds, it's what you're saying to yourself inside. So if you think about something that bothers you and you feel that anxiety and it's kind of there for 20 minutes, half an hour, technically it only should last 90 seconds. And how you'll know it's true is if somebody knocks at the door and brings a baby in or a puppy dog, all of a sudden, whatever you were worried about in that moment, your attention gets moved somewhere else, and your attention and the meaning that you're making about what your attention is on changes. So you're laughing and you're joking and your friends are around and the baby's there and the puppy dog is there and you're having a laugh. And all of a sudden, the old feeling that was there dropped off. You forgot about it for a while. And then when those people go, you have to go back inside and go, oh yeah, where was I? Oh yeah, that problem. I can't pay that bill now tomorrow. Shit, what am I going to do? And you go back into that again. If I show you how to stop that, would that be worth something to you? I'm not asking for anything. All I'm asking you to do is just spend a bit of time just listening to this in the background. You don't have to exclusively focus on it on these videos. That's not something that most people can do. No, not really many people can sit down and focus on any problem. I can't. I bought a training program for 997 Australian dollars. And through all the shit that I went through over the past year, I hadn't got time to sit down and watch them. They're 3-hour videos over 4 nights, Zoom calls, group Zoom calls, trainings. I couldn't do it. Now, lucky enough, it was recorded. But even sitting down, if you ask me tonight, can you sit down and just spend 3 hours just sitting in front of a screen watching a video? No, I can't. One, I've got better shit I want to be doing with my life. I don't want to be sitting in front of a screen for 3 hours. There's better things I want to be doing. I want to be productive. Yes, you need to learn. So what I do is, when I'm out and about, I stick it on my earphones and I listen to it. And I listen to it again, and I listen to it again. And I listen to it in patches. I don't listen to it all together. I can't. Life is too overwhelming. There's too much stuff to do. You have to get shit done in your life, or otherwise things will build up. So I'm going to help you to slow down, interrupt your negative feelings and your inner dialogue. Slow down your mind and quieten it. It's not what happens outside. It's your internal dialogue, what you're telling yourself inside about what's happening outside. And I'll show you how to, we'll talk about it. I'm not going to show you these things. We're going to talk about it. We're going to show you that it's possible. You're going to see other people doing it. I'll explain stuff to you. And this is just the new channel that I've started up. It's called the podcast, Paul Campbell, the podcast. And you have my other channel here, which is The Smart Way to Feel Better. This has got great videos in it. But despite that, people could watch these videos and then 5 minutes later forget what actually happened. That sounds like me. And then people could watch one of these videos that has great insight in it, but then they can start to look at me as annoying. It's like, there's this fucking guy again. Who does he think he is? They're all the same, these coaches. Like, look at the state of this guy. Just thinks he can tell everybody trying to say about it. And all of a sudden now, the solution has become part of your problem because you're just not in the mood and it's not working and you don't know why and nothing works. Let's move beyond that and create a calmer and more empowering you, and have a better viewpoint on life between now and whenever the end of your life is. If this is you now, and then the end of your life is here, and it could be 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, all the problems can still be there. But as you're navigating through them, imagine being in a position to be able to look at them and go, it is what it is, and I'm just going to do the best I can with what I have. And you know what? I'll do the small little thing now and take the smallest next step. But other than that, I'm just going to, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just going to do the best I can and not be fazed by it, not be overwhelmed by it. So let's keep it real and keep it to the point. If you have any ideas of what you want me to talk about, I've got ideas, and I know in this one we're going to talk about your internal reactions. Doesn't mean that you're ignoring or minimizing the problem. It just means that you're aware of it, but you're choosing not to feel bad inside so that you can make better decisions and have greater flexibility and a stronger emotional resilience. I am emotionally resilient, and I'm creating a course as well. It's for mental resilience for men over 40. It's going to teach you how to have mental resilience. It's going to be strategies in place and tasks that's going to be more flexible and user friendly. So it's not going to be about you sticking to this routine. It's kind of a relaxed approach, or if you like, you can do the structured approach. And all of it's going to be in one big podcast at the end, also summed up in one big podcast. So you can either watch it, or you can listen to it, or you can read it as well. I'm going to put a reading version so you have no excuses. If you're a reader, you're going to be able to read it. If you're a kind of guy who likes to be shown how to do things like me, then there's going to be videos. I kind of like the videos, and I don't like reading for some reason. So let's wrap it up and leave it here. Hope this inspires you to continue on. True empowerment and resilience comes from you. It's choosing how you respond internally, and small shifts in your perception. Choosing to pay attention on purpose, to move your attention somewhere where it's going to make you feel better, and to be able to decide, you know what, despite all the shit that's going on in my life, I'm going to pay attention to the other important things in my life that are way more important than the problems. I know the problems are important and I have to resolve them, but fuck it, right now, I'm just going to pay attention to the simple things that make me feel better. That's a power. That's emotional resilience. That's staying ethical and still being able to be aware that the challenges are there and deal with them in a professional manner, in a calm manner, so that you're not just going one way or the other where, like, I don't give a shit, nothing bothers me. That's going to cause problems in your life, I guarantee you. I know people like that, and they don't have any friends because they just don't give a shit. You can't be like that. It's not one way or the other. It's being responsive in the moment. Be fully present and available in the moment, and tend to what's in front of you. Pay attention to what's beyond the tip of your nose without judgment, and to be able to deal with it like that. So I hope you follow these videos, and whatever format that you can find them in. For me, we're going to put them in a podcast format. This is actually a podcast video. It's not structured in any way. It's just me just shooting the breeze and sharing my experience. So stick around, because you're going to learn something, and you might just change how you handle life forever. So thank you for watching. I'm Paul Campbell, and I'll see you in the next podcast.